So while I'm sitting in front of the window, looking out over our mysterious earth, I also want to talk about how we regulate the frequency in our bioenergetic fields, our electrical fields created by the whole of every cell in our bodies, okay? Because we're just a microcosm of the earth, our cells are, and the earth is one big cell, and it's very affected by all these universal influences as well. So if you want to look at life like the macrocosm and the microcosm, that's helpful. Energy is gathered in so many ways. It's a collection of elements, which are minerals, chemicals, and eventually turn into vitamin structures in the food that we eat. And every single being on this planet has different frequency. So the animals that we eat, if we choose to eat them, the food we ingest, how old it is, how alive it is, how fresh it is, if we eat food with preservatives out of a box or if we eat food right out of the ground, it really does affect our energy levels. If we drink water from a fresh mountain spring right out of the ground, or a river where animals have contaminated it with waste, or humans, or through a system that chlorine bleaches all the water and kills everything alive in it, and then we drink dead water. So water reoxygenates itself when it's moving, like in a river, so that's really nice too. Just to go by the ocean or by a river influences our bodies in a positive way. But in this video, I want to talk about the foods we eat and what spectrum of food we're eating and how that affects the human body through digestion, because each vegetable and fruit, just like every human, has a different color to it. And in the human body, we call that melanin. And so our skin and eyes collect melanin, and that helps us to grow and be healthy based on what environment our genes are connected to, what hemisphere we're born in, the altitude, everything. Okay, and so that's why humans, as we move around the planet, are a little bit more challenged, but we adapt very fast to things. Most of us have homes now. We live inside most of the time and are exposed to sunlight based on how often we put ourselves under sunlight. So the fruits and vegetables, unless they're grown in a controlled atmosphere, they have their own color tones too, and their own ability to collect sunlight, to grow, and hold the different elements and minerals and chemicals in them. And so when you see color in a vegetable or fruit, what you're really seeing is an expression of what it's made out of. Does it have more sulfur? Does it have more manganese? Does it have more copper in it? Does it have, what elements are present in the fruit? Okay. And so when we look at general human health and we can isolate, okay, my liver and kidneys are struggling, or I'm having heart disruption, or my neurosystem isn't functioning quite as well, or my immunological system's not functioning quite as well, we can really tune in with the colors in our foods specifically to raise those frequencies. And so I'm going to go ahead and say that right now, if I were to focus on, I'd focus on a full spectrum of color in the human diet. That's the easiest way, okay? So eat your eggplants and blueberries. Eat your green leafy vegetables. Eat bananas and lemons and mangoes and oranges and beets and cherries and all the full spectrum, so that your body's never lacking in any way. But there are ways that we can focus down, and my feeling is right now there are colors that are of a little more importance, which would be green and blue, and then beyond that, yellow and violet range or purple range. Now the purple range is connected to the nervous system in our brain, specifically the pineal gland and the hypothalamus, which has to do with hormone regulation, but then also our dream states and connectivity to one another. What some people would say psychically, I just believe that we're all able to kind of read each other, and that's another sense we don't talk about a lot. So just that intuitive knowing, for you to know the basic feeling when you look out the window, what your health is, the health of others, that's all contained here at the hypothalamus and pineal gland, which is connected to the optic nerve and our eyes, and how we ingest information through our eyes. And so then there is another place that we ingest energy, otherwise known as food and water and tonality, and that is at the throat, and that color associated with the spine and the nerves that run through the spine there, and the oscillation of energy at the spine there is blue. And so that has to do with our metabolism and thyroid, our voice box, communication, how we're heard, how we receive information that way. And so our ears, our sinuses, our throats are connected here to a frequency of blue. I'm being tempted to go into why we hold frequencies at different areas of our body. Maybe that's important now. But first I'm going to say that green is connected to the heart and lungs, and moving your upper body helps to keep the blood flow going to your heart and lungs quite simply, and deep breathing techniques and walking and challenging your lungs to breathe a little deeper. That is just very simple. Okay, so when someone like myself talks about energy, or we talk about the colors associated with human life and frequency, there's a full range of colors, and that's the rainbow spectrum that we can see. But then there's other light that affects us outside of the rainbow spectrum, but we're not going to focus on that right now. We're going to focus on the piezoelectric spine. Your spine is crystalline, and it holds tonality. That means that it is capable of producing different frequencies based on how thick it is at certain areas. The fossa that goes down the spine that holds your spinal cord, it has, eventually will narrow in places, or it stays very wide. It changes the communication of your nerves and your nervous system. And so that's why it's important to keep a healthy spine, healthy muscle tissues that balance your spine and keep it held in place so that all the nerves can come out. So from your brain down your spinal cord, the nerves come out like branches and connect with your muscles and organs and lymphatic system, and creates communication so that based on what we're taking in from the atmosphere outside, the sky gives us so much information, the sun gives us so much information about human regulation and where our bodies need to be to adapt to our environment. And so it also tells us if we're in danger or if we're safe. And so that information needs to move through our nervous system so that our organs and our lymph and our hormonal glands can release in timing so that we stay healthy. And this creates whole body immunity. And so at the throat, people like myself who study the energy of the human body, which is really the electrical system of the human body, we say it vibrates to the tone of blue, but really that's a Hertz vibration. So it vibrates within a range of Hertz that is associated with the color blue. or with the note G, okay? Or with different smells and essential oils, because, you know, smell helps to give information too, and it's in a range. So, you know, smelling violets or lilacs can influence the third eye, or lavender, or, you know, the hypothalamus, okay? So this is metabolism and thyroid here, voice box, and also immunity. And the immunity is somewhere between green and blue. And so eating those foods, you're bringing in the influence to your nervous system through digestion for health within those frequencies. You're bringing in more of that energy into your body. And so at the spinal cord region, behind here, behind your heart and your lungs, we call that green. And green is associated with a lot of things, but mostly with bringing in and giving out. So all the things we're being told not to do, like touch each other and hug and be in community, that gains energy. And using our hands for art, though, we can still use our hands for art. And we can walk our dogs and pet our dogs and cats and care for ourselves radically. And that's actually how we're going to switch what we do to keep holding the spectrum there of health at the spine behind your heart and lungs. And so that color's green, and it vibrates to the tone of F. And so you can use different oils to influence that. And I'm going to go into that in another video. But right now I want to talk about food and how our digestive system actually turns food into pure frequency for our bodies and gives us information for survival. And so I just want to encourage you to eat between the yellow and purple spectrums today. Keep your spine healthy and alive by doing upper body movements and full body movements to keep the oxygen and blood flow going. And that's all I want to say in this video. And just, I wanted to touch in a little bit about what we're talking about when we talk about the energy of the body and how we gather it and why we focus on sunlight and exercise to increase the full frequency of the human body. So with many loving blessings to you, I am going to sign off. All right. Thank you.